Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for coming out. I'm glad it's not too terribly hot. Y'all hear me okay?
Turn it on.
Ah. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, good people. Thank you for coming out on this wonderful day. I'm glad it's not too hot. Really appreciate you all coming out. My job, they tell me I have only 10 minutes, so somebody start timing because I can get verbose, as you may know.
Don't worry, I'm timing.
Thank you.
I got you.
I'm supposed to come up here and talk about our 5 demands that we put out. And I want to first start with that word demand. There are some who are in our city council who have questioned that word demand.
Ooh.
Can't we ask more nicely if we want to get things done? That's how you get people on your side, if you work together, if you cooperate. You all know what happened in 1619? Maybe, no? In the fall of 1619, 20 enslaved Africans landed in Virginia. That was 401 years ago. Okay? In the intervening time, between then and now, we've been asking nicely. We've been marching, we've been protesting. And here we are in 2020. We still haven't got the basic respect and recognition as human beings. We are being wantonly murdered in the streets by the organs of the state who are empowered to use violence. And we hear excuses. And we hear calls for reform. And none of this is new. And all of this we got here in no small part by asking nicely. So guess what? We're done. We are what? So our first demand was to defund the police.
Woo!
And we had some discussion about that word too, defund. Are you kidding me? Can't you ask nicely? You already heard what I have to say about that. But anyway. So what do we mean when we say defund? It's quite simple, really. The police have been asked to do jobs that are beyond their scope of work. There are many social services that have been defunded, and then the police have been asked to step into those shoes and provide those services. So if you are homeless, instead of somebody coming to help you, an armed individual shows up and threatens you, oftentimes takes you to jail. If you're having a mental health crisis, instead of a licensed and trained mental health worker showing up at the door to help your child, an armed officer shows up. God forbid the child should have a reaction that the officer interprets as aggressive. Bang, bang, you're dead. God forbid. Brother Rayshard Brooks was asleep in his car at a Wendy's. He wasn't driving. He might have driven there drunk, but he was sitting there, asleep. Wasn't hurting nobody. The people in the drive-thru were going around him. It was all good. Why does an armed officer respond to that situation? Can we imagine a situation where an unarmed social service worker shows up and says, Brother Rayshard, man, give me your keys. We're going to tow your car. You're going to have to pay that fine. But we're going to get you home. Go sleep this off. Come get your car in the morning. What's wrong with that? Instead, an officer comes. You know the story. Escalation, bang, bang, you're dead. Look around the industrialized world. We are the only ones who behave this, I'm going to use this word deliberately, barbarically, to our own citizens. So, take the money from the police, give it to the social service agencies so they can do the work they were trained for. But then we won't be safe if there's no police. What about all the things? Okay, imagine you've got 10 police officers, and 20% of the time they're dealing with homelessness and mental health, just those two. That means at any one time that an officer calls for backup, there are only 8 officers that can respond, because the other 2 are dealing with the homeless and the mentally ill. So if we take the funding away for those 2 officers, and you get a call for backup, guess what? You still have the same 8 officers to respond. But now, you've got money for homelessness and mental health so we can actually cure the problems rather than putting Band-Aids on them. We can help people rather than incarcerate them. Y'all feel me? So defund doesn't mean take police off the street. It means take the work that police are not trained to do away from them, take the money that they use to do those jobs and do them poorly, give them to the people who are trained to do it, and then free the police up to do the law and order work. Now, we're going to have some conversations about how they do that law and order work, but that's a separate thing. That's coming later. What we want right now is fund your residents, fund your communities. Let's help everybody be better. All right. So that feeds into our second demand: invest in initiatives to ensure the survival and success of black people. Black people who are homeless, black people who are suffering from mental health issues, youth issues. Take this money, reinvest it in society. It's not brain surgery, good people. It's what government is supposed to do. I'll jump in my professor hat one more time. It's as though there was a race to develop. In America now, our per capita GDP is something like $50,000 a person. So it's like we landed on the plateau. We're rich. We made it. We're a developed nation. Now what do? Let's get richer. Screw the little people. That's how we got up here. Let's keep going. Let's, instead of $1 billion, let's get 10 billion. But let's look around the other industrialized nations. What did they do? They got to 45,000 per capita. And they looked around and what did they see? Ooh, there's some people we left behind. How about we provide them with, free universal quality health care, free universal quality education, free universal housing, right? Finland just eliminated homelessness. How? They gave homeless people apartments with no conditions and gave them the help they needed to become productive members of society. And 4 out of 5 people who go through that program actually become progressive members of, productive members of society. 80% success rate. It's not hard. The models are out there. Greed is keeping us where we are. We need police out of schools. That's our next demand. This is the beginning of the pipeline to prison for young, poor, black, and brown people. When instead of having a counselor to find out why this young sister is acting out, we got a man with a gun in the class, in the school, to take her and give her a record, slap cuffs on her in front of her schoolmates, and roll her out into the paddy wagon and take her downtown. She's a kid. We saw here in Bloomington. Anyway, get the cops out of the schools. End profiteering from incarceration. You lock us up, well, hang on, you charge us with a crime. You lock us up and give us bail. $300 for some people might as well be $3 million. $1,000 might as well be $1 billion. We haven't been convicted yet. We're sitting in jail. The only reason we can't get out is because we don't have a grand to put up. So now I want to call my wife and make sure she's good. I got to check on my kids. I got to pay for that phone call. I got to pay through the nose for that phone call. Video conference, pay triple-double for that. Now where does this money go? Go ask John Sanders. So stop that mess. First of all, what is it? 70% of people are in prison because they can't afford bail. Understand, they've not been judged guilty of anything. They're awaiting trial. And again, us and the Philippines, that's it for cash bail. Now, in the UK, for example, you kill somebody, there's some bail. You're driving under suspended license, boy, go home until it's time for you to show for court. But no, we're going to make money off you. You're already poor. We're going to make you poorer. And if we can, we're going to lock you up because guess what? The 13th Amendment says slavery is still legal. But last one, I know I'm probably running out of time here. Expand access to the vote. I forget which state. There's like 16,000, if not 60,000 people who've got one polling place to go to. Right? You kidding me? But as we're going to talk about in the breakout here, people talk about voting. I'm going to vote for Trump. I'm going to vote for Biden. I don't like Biden. I don't like Trump. All right, that's presidential stuff. Guess what? As you're going to hear, who's it that said all politics is local. If you want to defund your police, guess who does it? Bloomington City Council. Brother Jeff Grable, you here? Brother Patrick Lawler, you here? We need people on the city council who are going to be able to stand up for us and say, this is what we want, this is what we need. So whether you like Trump, whether you like Biden, I don't care. You got to show up in November and vote on the lower part of your ballot. Right? And for that, you need to get your mind in the game. You got to be educated. You got to know about the candidates. And most of all, exercise your power to vote. So I'm probably like 27 minutes I've been talking here. I'm going to call up who's coming up. Sister Cinnamon's going to come up and tell us what's up next. Thank you for being here. Much love.